to part 5 of our part 17 inventory system of our top-down construct 3 series. Now today we're going to be looking at dropping the loot from the inventory, as well as just to hover over some text areas just to display some of the information we have. Now guys, I encourage you that if you're new yet to go look at the other 4 videos we have. I run through it quite explicitly on how to get to this point. So first take a look at that and then jump over here. So without wasting any time, I'm going to just tell you what I've done ahead and gone and prepped. I've gone ahead onto our global layers. I've added just a normal sprite font called an inventory text, whatever you want to call it. And this is just a normal sprite font with, I made it white, nothing, and I've set it to invisible. Okay. And then over onto my object bank, I went and added obviously another one, and I went ahead and called that game item text, okay, because that's what I want to hover over the game item, and that you can also just manage and change and do whatever, and set this to invisible too. So the first thing we want to do is jump over to our main files, and then where we had the hover over where we select, I want to do a few things. The first one I want to do is I want to ensure that, because this is the cursor is over inventory system, we basically then are adding it to, not adding it, we are basically giving information about it. So I want to add a few stuff. So I want to first do a new event. I want to go down on the main class. Once I hover over and it's visible, meaning on the stage, I want to then go and add a sub event. And I'm going to call the sub event, I'm going to call the inventory game items, and I'm going to check compare its instance variable. I want to check to make sure that the quantity is equal to 1. Okay, if it's equal to 1, means obviously it's on the stage. Then I want to go and set some of this game texture that I have. I want to set it to visible because I want to display the name once I hover over it. I'm going to set that to visible. Then I want to also go and add another one, and I want to basically set the text. And the texture, I'm going to set it to the family name, obviously. So we're going to go inventory. In my case, I'm going to go game items. All right. I wonder if this would be, yeah, let's keep it as game items. And then I'm going to go dot. I'm going to go the name. So that should just be fam. Can't remember what we added to that variable. Name. There, name underscore fam. Okay, so that is setting the text to that. And then I might just drop that down first, obviously. I might then just do a position. So yeah, we just need to go set this position. So we're going to go game items, text, set the position to another object. And that object is going to be my inventory game items. I wonder if this will work. Yeah, it probably will, because I'm not selecting a unique ID, but let's just go with this, see what happens. And image point 0. And drop that down. Okay, let's go and see what that does. So if I hover over it, it should in fact give me the name of the item. Okay, awesome. So there we go. Double-edged, 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 mana potion, health potion. Okay, so it's working as intended, but you notice that when I moved away the mouse, that it stayed there. So we're going to fix that quickly. So let's go back to our main, and let's clone this, because we're going to need to do a few things, because once we have more than one quantity. So in fact, let's do that first. So let's go ahead and clone this. I'm building this basically off a project that Constructor already had. So I've just simplified this project. Let's go greater than 1. And then we can do the same, set it to visible. Obviously set it to the image point. But then we want to change the text. And the text here we're going to want to do is the inventory. We're going to want to give it the quantity. Let's go quantity fam, because we want to say how many there are, right? So we're going to use the and to bring us the next point, and here we're going to go x, because it's how many times. So we're going to go x, and then we're going to and again, and then we're going to go the inventory. So inventory game items, and then we're going to go dot the name here. Right, click done. So that if there's more than one, we basically want to show the 2. Sorry, that needed to go there, that needed to go there. Right, greater than 1, show the 2 times, or 3 times. And then the last thing we need to do is we're probably going to have to go over to our cursor mouse over here and then set the tooltip to invisible. So let's just add that and set visible and say invisible. Right, click that. Let's see what that does. Stage 1. Right. So here's our potion. So we've got mana potion, double-edged sword, fantastic. Now if I go and add these, I'm going to add them to our system, and you see that's disappearing. I go in. Here is 2 times and 1, right? So I'm going to drop this now. I'm going to explain to you the drop thing. It's not working for you, but I've gone ahead and dropped it for myself. So I'm going to just drop this item, and let's see if that now. No, it's still there. So let me add it again, and then drop this as 2 swords instead of 1. Right, that should work. Awesome, there we go. 2 times double-edged. Fantastic. Right, that's working beautifully. So the next thing we're going to do is over onto our main. We are going to then add an inventory. I think let's do the inventory tooltip. So let's go ahead and add, let's just close this now. Let's go to our inventory main one. Let's go add a new add subgroup. Let's call this inventory tooltip. Okay, now you remember guys, over onto our create function over here, we had this dictionary of certain items. You can add additional things here, as I mentioned. So if you want to have, for instance, damage underscore poison, ID poison, then you can put, for instance, how much damage it does as a value. And you can use that value in the game itself when applying the potion or the poison to an enemy or to an ally. Just remember that. So the dictionary is very powerful when working with it. It's not just for the naming conventions, but also for the damage output or the healing properties or whatever you can say properties you're going to want to pass. You're going to want to make use of this. This doesn't affect the way that we have the inventory running. This is purely for us to basically add those values without having to statically set them as instance variables. Okay, so just remember that. That's going to be critical, and I'm going to demonstrate that much later down in the series. So over onto our new group that we just added, let's go and add and check and see that the add a sub event, and let's make sure that the player inventory is active. So we're going to go player compare boolean, and we're going to go inventory is active. All right, then we're going to add a sub event. Go add sub event, because now we know it's active, and we're going to select the 2 different categories. So yeah, we're going to check the global variable. So we're going to compare a variable. We're going to go our category, var in an active category, and we're going to make the first one. We're going to check and see if it's weapons. Okay, just remember your naming conventions that you use for your categories. So weapons. I'm going to go ahead and just copy this and paste it, and I'm going to make sure the next one is obviously our potions. Potions with a capital P in my case. Right, now I'm going to want to also cursor over this. So I'm going to add another one and say sub event, add another condition, add another condition. I'm going to go mouse, and I'm going to say is cursor over. Cursor is over an object, and that object is going to be our weapons object. So our artillery weapons object. Objects artillery. Done. And in this case, the same as well, but this case the potion. So add another condition, and we're going to have cursor over. So we're going to go mouse, and is cursor over an object, and that object is going to be potions. Potions inventory. Make sure it's not your game one. It's going to be within the inventory. Okay. What did I do with that other one? Why is it missing? Okay. Strange. Very strange. Let's try that again. Potions inventory. Done. Okay, fantastic. So now that we have that there, we can now basically make use of it. So yeah, it's just basically, and when the mouse opens, let's add one more condition. Actually, let's add one more condition here, and then we'll say change this back, and is over an object, and there I'm going to want to just use the family itself, because anyone I'm referring to. Let's go to inventory items, and this I can remove, and I'm going to just add a trigger once, add another condition, and system once while true. Okay, there we go, and then we can do the following. So now I've got 3 conditions. As I said to you, in my HUD I went ahead and created an inventory text. Okay, just to recap, over onto global layers, this little guy here called inventory text, that's what I'm referring to. Okay, it's hidden at this moment in time. Let's just make sure it is. Initially visible. Okay, great, it's invisible. So back here, we're going to make sure that when it's empty, we are going to, when cursor is not, let's invert that. So when the tooltip is empty, so where's inventory text, set it to invisible. Or we can just set it to blank actually, set text to blank is fine. And we can actually make that then visible. So let's go back to our global layers and we can make that visible. We don't even have to hide it. It's going to be a lot easier. Right, so back to our player, and then the first one we're going to want to set the tooltip, really, just setting the text or what you want. So yeah, we can have a number of things. We can go inventory text, and we can go set text, and now we can go. So now we can go set text to, so the first one we can do, for instance, we can go inventory, and we're going to probably want to use our object here instead of the family. So we're going to want to go inventory, sorry, that's degrees, that's not going to help, that's why it didn't pop up. Set text, here we go. So inventory, and let's look for the inventory. It's not coming up, oh, it's object, sorry. So we're going to go obj, and the first one is inventory, and yeah, we're going to use the family name. Okay, now like I said, you can have the family name and then you can add additional things. We can go family name, and then we can go new line, because that's a function. We can add, let's say, another and, obviously, and we can go add, let's go object weapons inventory. It's these weapons right here, weapons inventory, and then we can add the equip type, for instance, equipped type fan. So you get what I'm saying. You can fill it up with whatever you like. I'm going to just use that for the demonstration. Go ahead and copy this over here. And I'm going to edit this quickly and then just change this to potions. 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 And potions. Right. So now if I hover over, if I select this stuff, show what that looks like. Right, so I've got my hover over, which is, I'll have to make that smaller, but that's fine. So go ahead and add these little items. Click on my inventory. Now if I hover over, you'll see here's the text here, but you'll notice that it's a little bit squashed. Right, and that's probably because I've got a scale set to it. So if I go over to global layers, I'm just going to set the scale back to 40% for now, and we can fix that later accordingly. So we go ahead and play that, click on inventory, let's just add a few things here, fantastic, and there it is, health potion, 0, that one there, health potion, supposed to say something else, still not great, let's just go and fix that, just the scale, don't have a lot of space there, so I'm going to set the scale to 100, but I'll work this accordingly, the chopping off of the words, because it's going to cut the words out. I have to set the sprite font there slightly different. Okay, but you get the point. So now you can have all sorts of details with regards to your inventory. Okay, we just need to tidy that up and set a correct font size, which is strange why 40 scaling down to 40% didn't work. It distorted it. I'd have to set it because the current pixel weight is just too big for it. It needs to be 8 by 8, which is actually something that I need to fix. Right, let's not worry about that for now. I'll make a new font. I've just got the wrong size one. Okay, so there you get the idea. That's how we're gonna hover over our items. Now back to the drop function. I'm going to go over to my main. Now what I've done is I've created you guys have all got the looting of the items, this function with regards to the mouse on right click in my case. I've just moved that to a subgroup to tidy it up. So I've just put it under loot items, and then I created another one called drop items. And drop items, just as simple. So I'm going to run through the code and just simplify this because I've already gone and added it. So basically what I'm saying here on the first function, the subcategory, is I'm saying mouse on left click on item once I'm in inventory and the player is in the inventory is active, in other words it's open, and the inventory items is set to the tab that is equal to the category of the global variable. It's very important to understand that we're dealing with two tabs, so I'm checking a number of things. I'm checking that this is active and it's equal to weapons, which it is now, but when I click this, then the other one. So I'm always checking that condition so that I'm not dropping this potion but in fact it's dropping a sword because of the fact that I haven't checked the category. Okay, so that needs to be there. Back over here, the first thing that I do then is I set the var invoice sort, the ID that we have, the global variable, I set it to the inventory slot ID because that's the one in question that I'm going to be dropping. Then I add a subgroup. I'm going to just expand these. My subgroup is as follows. I say the category in question, so I've got for both. You can just copy and paste this entire function to clone it when you do. And I'm saying if shift is down, in my case I selected shift. If shift is down, subtract one item. But if I don't use shift, drop all the items. That's what the two functions say. So when the category is selected, I'm saying on the system, create an object, because remember, we pick up the object. So if we have a look here, when I pick this object up, it disappears. But I want to spawn the object back within a radius, is what we're doing. So if I click inventory, and I go to the potions, and I drop these potions, you'll notice that they're dropping them in random places. Okay. And they drop them now in different places. That's what the code's doing. I'm saying system, create this object. The object in question is because I'm in the weapons category, create the weapons game object, set it to the layer, the stage layer, and then set the X to the player X and the Y to the player Y, the player itself, and then random 35 pixels on each side. That way it spawns in different little areas. Okay, that's important. And then I say play the animation. Now it's important not to use the family name here. You've got to use the object in question. So within weapons, which we're passing, we're saying on the weapons play the animation, which is just the animation name of the inventory items. Okay. Then on shift down, I'm saying subtract one, wait a second and run the update function, which you have in your functions that we created in the last video, the update one. Once shift is not down, I want you to go and then drop all of them. So you can, like I said, use any key you want to or invert it if you want to. So drop all of them from the quantity, set the system to 0, and then also say inventory items, which is the inventory, go and subtract the entire quantity. In other words, 0 it, and that way you know that it's done correctly. Back to our potions. Basically, I just copied this and changed it relevant to potions. Okay, that's the only thing. And then when the inventory items, I just made another condition under the same drop items. I'm saying if inventory items quantity is 0, destroy it. So that it's not accessible in the actual inventory. Destroy them completely. Sorry, over here. Destroy them. If it's 0, we don't want it. So just destroy it anyway. So that's just a backup. Destroy it. You run the function item move up. Move the slots up so that it's not, an empty slot at number 1. So if I go back to the game, and I run this again, pick this up, 2 of them, and I hit the inventory. If I delete this one, I want it to shift up. So I delete this one, and you see the blue shifted up. That is what that does. It runs the call update function, the up function. So back here, you'll see we say inventory, move it up, wait a second, and then run the update function. Okay. Well guys, and that concludes our inventory-based system. Obviously there's tweaks that can be made to it, like I said, adding the separate variables on the damage, the mana type. I'm probably going to be working on a few other bits, such as just setting the texture correctly, which I'll just do one video of the bugs, because over onto our stage I want to set the animations for our player. It's still a little bit untidy, so there's a bit of fixing that we want to do just to make things a little bit smoother. You'll see that he didn't go to idle, which we don't have. I keep saying it in future videos. And also just, making it a little bit smoother opposed to it being sticky, and there's always rooms. You'll notice one thing, when you're developing a game, there's always going to be rooms for improvement. The last thing I want to do while I do have your guys' attention is picking up of the items where you're close to it. So I want to close the drop items. I want to open this one here, and we spoke about this function that's right click when picking up. So what we can do here is add another condition, and we're going to use system, and we're going to compare two values. Where are you? Compare two values. So we're going to compare two values. And the first value which we're going to compare is we're going to compare our player. So we're going to go player dot x, right? And then we're going to just comma that, and we're going to go, and this actually needs to be in a function. So this is not a function, but a distance value. Player x, and then I'm going to go player y dot y. Okay, player dot y, and then I'm going to compare it with that object, and that's going to be basically another comma, and we're going to go inventory game items dot x, and then inventory game items dot y, and then I want to say if it's equal to 50, or it's, you could say smaller than, less than 50. Sorry, what am I saying? So if he's within this range, then you can pick it up, because what's happening now, if I run this, I'm picking up the sword, I'm picking up the potion standing over here, as you guys saw. So now by using it now, you'll see that I can't pick it up. Okay, so now I've got to come within the range, and then I can pick it up. If I'm not within the range, okay, that's still too big. So 50 is still too big. We need to make that even less. So let's go to our function, and let's make that probably 20 pixels. That should be better. So if I'm standing here, stage 1, and now I can't pick it up, and now I can't pick it up. If I come a little closer, there it is. So I could even go even closer, probably even 10. 10 is probably going to be right on it. That's probably going to be better. So come a little bit closer over here. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Bang. Perfect. Could even go 5, or you could just be over it if you wanted to. Either way, there's always going to be rooms for improvement. You see how the guy's just walking here? That we're going to fix. And that is it, guys. Thanks so much. If you're new to this channel, we'd love to subscribe, and if you could hit the little thumbs button, we'd always appreciate it. And we're going to catch you guys in the next one.